Welcome to this week's episode of the Top Podcast. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Rob. I'm joined with me are my friends Mike.
Heyo.
And Lou.
I literally was gonna say the exact same thing. Hey,
Man, dude, I feel like that's
crazy.
I feel like that's not the first time in recent memory that's happened. I've been tapping into my Lou brain and just sniping your intros.
Your lube brain?
My lube brain, yes. My Lucian brain.
Oh, okay.
So
Boy, is lubricating his brain.
To be fair, in every scenario except the one time I needed you to think dirty, always is lubed up. So, for context for the listener, I sent Lou a draft of a short story, and there was this one analogy where I was like, it's pretty funny if you immediately go sexual with it. Otherwise, it's going to make no sense. And I was like, the one person I know for a fact will take this the wrong way, but in this case, the right way, is Lucian. And then the only person who was like, I don't understand this, ended up being Lucian. And I was just like, uh-oh, I don't know what to do now.
Lou, how do you feel that Mike considers you his dirty friend?
My fear is that other people will consider me dirty, but I'm not.
He's not.
Dirty.
It's just that on the
Only
podcast, you take everything.
He takes all the hits.
Yeah.
It's like, my chicken was kind of dry, and he's like, was that sexual?
No, I mean, I really let it out D&D, this podcast, and the bedroom. But other than that,
so on Discord,
pretty clear.
When Lou's on Discord, he's on one.
I'm on one.
Well, first I want to shout out.
Degenerate.
There we go, the degenerates out there. Want to shout out to all our international toppers. We got Falkenstein. I don't know how to say it. Germany. We're popping off there, and coming in close second is Wellington, New Zealand. So you guys are.
That horn is never as good as I expect it to be.
What's wrong with Wellington, New Zealand?
Nothing. I just always see the horn emoji and then don't read where it says sad horn under it, and then I go, it's gonna go, bah, 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 and then it does that.
I think you're looking more for the air horn, but I mean, I get you. There it is.
There it is.
But so you guys are international topper hubs of the month. Congrats to you guys. Let us know what it's like in Germany and New Zealand. I'd love to know. I love finding about other cultures. So congrats to you guys. Be sure to leave it in any of our comments, YouTube, Spotify, wherever. Speaking of comments, we have our top topper, Pokemon Trainer Cantwell, coming in with our last real topic of video game bosses. And one thing I think interesting that I didn't even think of is he also considers wild Pokemon bosses, which, to be fair, with some legendaries, yeah, I totally agree. What are you guys' opinions on that? Do you agree, disagree? Top or slop?
I think it depends on the Pokemon. Scott's Thoughts, YouTuber that I'm a big fan of. I believe he was one of the YouTube channels I would save. Big throwback. We should do that again sometime. He used to do solo challenge. Well, he still does solo challenges, but when he does red, blue, or yellow, the last thing he has to do is beat Mewtwo to end the challenge. So in that case, it's kind of like red. But then in other cases, it's like freaking Sudowoodo, not a boss.
Yeah, that is his favorite. So he agrees with me for the trainer fight that red at the top of Mount Silver is the best trainer fight. But he puts Sudowoodo as his favorite wild Pokemon boss. I mean, I guess it's like somewhat iconic because you take.
Oh, give it iconic.
But I don't know about.
But
boss.
I mean, like Luigi's iconic. He's not a boss.
Depends on what game you play. And then we got the legendary dogs. Would you agree, Lou, with either of those and the whole legendary bosses?
I'm more of a Digimon guy myself, so I can't really comment.
Dude, I got a buddy who texted me. I don't know what it's called, but he had a Tamagotchi equivalent to a Digimon, or a Digimon themed Tamagotchi. You understand what I'm saying? And he texted me. He was like, "Oh, dude, my Digimon died." I was like, "Oh, that sucks, bro." Then he goes, "I think I'm gonna get a cat," and I was like,
Can't handle
kill
a
it?
Digimon,
Well, hold on now. So if he gets the cat, I hope he loves it. But if you're listening, bro, I'd give that some more thought.
To be fair, it's a lot easier to remember your animals than a digital Tamagotchi.
100%. It was just like the pacing of the conversation. It was just boom, boom. And I was like, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I just I lost my niece when we were going at the mall, but the wife and I are thinking about having a kid soon. I think that's not actually, Mom. That was a joke. I'm just gonna put that up.
Oh,
Mike, do you have any icebreakers for us this week?
I got some good would you rather's.
All right, hit us with it.
Nice.
So full disclosure, I went to the internet for these because I wanted to have some in my bag because I'm always so bad at coming up with icebreakers. And there were a bunch of different like options, and by far the ones for kids are the best ones. Like all the other ones I thought were easy. The kids ones I kind of liked.
Ooh.
So, would you rather be able to speak any language or to be able to communicate with animals?
Oh my gosh, that's the easiest one. Why would I want to speak to ravaged animals? That makes no sense to me.
Well, when you try
can
to
make a killing off of both.
your dog, you're gonna want to be able to talk dirty. I mean, talk smack to it. So,
Oh, gosh.
I would never want to talk to my dog. My dog is needy, selfish, and impulsive.
You know I'm a degenerate.
How is
Slow
that any
on one.
degenerate?
No, that's back to Mike, so it was just slow on it. Had to be addressed, though.
Okay.
okay.
Just wanted to make sure.
That's an easy one. We'll work our way up. Would you rather?
Whoa, you didn't ask
Oh,
mine.
sorry, Rob. My bad.
And you didn't say yours. I'm guessing
Lou
you
just
would
came
pick
in with so much
languages.
fire.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, it's language for me too.
I think it
but,
is
like,
language, but you could make a killing off of both.
Oh, dude, there are some there are some animal lovers on this podcast.
But as
I'm
a good
not one
Christian
of
man,
them, but...
I can't go witness to an animal and it be effective. So.
Wait, that's what you would do if you if you knew all the languages. You would witness to people.
Okay, I feel like if you had, in this case, it'd be the gift of tongues. You would have to go like that's some divine, like here you go signal. If you just learned every single language.
I'll tell you what, you witness to everyone in North Dakota, and then we'll talk about you going abroad.
He only needs how many languages do you think North Dakotans know?
We got Spanish, a very big Filipino population.
Oh,
I forgot about the
There's
Filipino.
also some Nordic, so Swedish and Scandinavian languages. So I got a handful of them.
There you
Stand
There you go.
corrected.
There you go.
More diverse than one would expect.
Yeah, way more. I assumed, like Lucian, that it was all white people. Although you've mentioned the Filipino population on the podcast before, so
And I forgot.
that's
about
on
that.
me.
Also, it's like we're probably a little more diverse than the rest of North Dakota, just because it is such a big, oil town.
Ah, that makes sense. All right. Would you rather fall down in public or pass gas in public?
Pass gas.
I'm with you. There's a chance that you can pass that off.
Even as the fat guy who
How
was always
hard?
blamed. Pass gas.
How hard would I have to fall down? Wait, is it I always have to, or just this random
No,
time?
just one time. Would like something embarrassing? It's you fall down in public, and the idea being it's embarrassing, right? You take an embarrassing spill, or I like to think you fart in a potentially embarrassing situation, and you can either own up to it and just take the embarrassment, or you can try and get out of that. But then if you get busted, it's even worse.
I'm gonna fall down.
Here's the thing: if it's a very dramatic and hilarious fall, most likely it's gonna get someone's gonna go find the CTV camera footage, and you'll be on the internet.
I'll tell you this right now. Mackenzie has one of the greatest falls I've ever seen in my life. The security footage from the Dairy Queen was pulled. It is not her favorite fact about herself. Her father does to text it to people. So if you got his number and you can ask him, he will send you that photo or that clip.
One time, Christian's been listening. My wife has been listening to the podcast, so I feel like I need to tell this
Christian.
joke. But yeah, she's been pretty dedicated to it. One time we were leaving church and we were getting out of the tunnel, leaving church, and she passed gas, and hundreds of people had to smell her ass.
Did she really want you to say that?
I don't know.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say no. But I'm
just
glad
like, wow,
you did.
you crop dusted so many people. This must be this is a talent.
Some kind of record.
This is record. Yeah, this is a record. How many people you crop dusted?
All right, would you rather number 3?
All right. Would you rather be raised by wolves or gorillas?
I think I have from a logical standpoint, I think I have a better chance with gorillas just from a temperature, like environment thing. But being wolves, I think is cooler. Yes, Lucian?
Sorry, I just remember there's like a saying like leave me to a pack of wolves and they'll all be pregnant or something. You guys ever heard it?
Oh my.
Sorry.
What is with this podcast
No,
today?
no, sorry. I'll do.
You sure you don't want to be able to speak to animals, Lou?
No. I'm not. I didn't make I didn't quote it. I'm just saying I've heard of it. I would do. Do they love me? Like either way, they
They're
raise me
raising
and love
you,
me?
so yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'll do gorillas for sure. I think they like. Yeah, I'll do gorillas.
So here's the thing. Most famous person to be raised by gorillas, Tarzan. Got a movie after him. Not bad. Most famous person I can think of to be raised by wolves, Romulus and Remus, built the Roman Empire by hand.
Not in a day, though.
Not in a day, but it was done. So I'm going gorilla because having to build a city sounds brutal.
Well, you just murder your
but,
brother.
like-
No biggie.
Nah, well. How do you
I
know
think-
I didn't murder my brother?
Oh,
Ooh.
all right.
Deep
What do
dark
we,
family secret,
Ooh.
allegedly.
What are we talking about this week, Mike?
Okay. We are talking about our favorite movies. So, I imagine everybody's criteria for favorite movies is going to be a little different. I went with which movies do I like the most / do I most consistently return to, right? Not a movie that's threatening to be in my top 5, but the most recent Batman film, The Batman with Robert Pattinson, I liked it. I never need to see that movie again. It was so long and so depressing. And even if it was like, man, this is one of the best movies I've ever seen, probably wouldn't make my list because there's no way I'm rewatching it.
Mhm.
But superhero movie I do rewatch all the time just for myself.
Is this
It
number
has
5?
nothing to do with my daughter. Sky High.
Is that your number 5?
That is my number 5.
Ooh. Also, we should say just general spoilers, I'm guessing.
Oh yeah,
For me,
general
I'm not going to
spoilers
try
for
to go deep.
all
but
these movies. I think
give
I've
that
talked about
warning.
like 4 of these already. So, and most of them are old. So
Mhm.
you know, if you haven't seen any of these by now, the statute of limitations is up. But you know, spoilers in anyway. Sky High, I think. First of all, it came out before the superhero craze started.
Mhm.
So like it is unfairly affected by superhero fatigue, but it's just like it's a perfect little tongue-in-cheek laugh at like the old school superhero movie and TV show culture, and it has got one of the most stacked casts ever. Both I literally I didn't look up the cast's names, but both the parents are super famous.
Kurt
the
Russell,
best
right?
friend,
Kurt
Russell.
yeah.
Thank you. Yes. The lady who played the Wonder Woman in the original Wonder Woman TV show plays Principal Powers. The best friend turned girlfriend. She was a big Disney Channel name. She went on to do some stuff in the CW.
Who was
so maybe
also
not like
in
A-list.
our Apocalypse podcast, and go and listen to it now
Yeah,
and see what
that's
genius
right.
picked that.
That would be Lucian, if I remember correctly.
Wait, what?
Sorry, I was confused because, as I recall, Lucian built a harem in that episode.
Ugh.
Oh.
I wonder if Christian listened to that one yet. Yikes.
Yeah, but you know, it's a fantastic, locked-in high school coming-of-age movie, superhero themes. Oh, freaking
Dean's in there.
the guy from the Dead movies.
The Dead movies,
Boomstick guy, Coach Boomer. I know him as Sam from
Oh, Bruce Campbell.
Bruce Campbell. Yeah, Bruce Campbell plays the gym coach, and he's amazing in that role. He's born to play like every role he's ever been in. Michigan man. But he was most born to play Coach Boomer in Sky High. A name that aged like fine freaking wine, by the way.
And isn't it Dean from Community? Isn't he in there?
I don't
Isn't he the
think
bald
it's the
guy?
dean from Community. It's the other guy. There's two guys.
No, he's Jim Rash from
Yeah,
Community.
Jim Rash is not. So Jim Rash was in that '70s show as Fenton, and then there was another guy who played the pastor. And you only saw the pastor every now and then. That guy, the guy who played the pastor, I do not know his name, was the mad science teacher. Very similar B-list actors, though.
IMDb not favorable to Sky High. But
Well, that's okay. They're
that's
wrong.
fine.
I was surprised to learn that this movie isn't like across the board considered to be a classic, because everyone in my family loves it. It's like on the level of like a Princess Bride. So I just assumed it was a beloved cult classic at the very least.
Mm-hmm.
But
Dude, that like blonde haired guy, the platinum blonde hair, that style, oh my gosh, such
so bad.
a relic of its time.
It is, but it's just so. That's another thing. I probably like it so much because of the era it was in, and it's such a fun look back at that era. It's like a super wholesome superhero themed American Pie.
Well,
Okay.
sure, whatever you say.
Yeah.
Well, in the same way that like American Pie is a classic early 2000s high school coming of age movie, Sky High has all of those same features without being raunchy. But like you could also just kind of show it to like homeschoolers and church people, and it'd be fine.
That's fair. Lou, what's your number 5?
Oh, that's funny that you say that. My number 5 is Princess Bride.
Nice.
Movie
Yeah.
I will not watch with people.
Because all
Why?
they do is quote it.
Yes, because everyone quotes it 30 seconds before it happens. I'm like, I don't want to watch your B-list production of it. I want to see the real thing. That's why I'm watching it.
Respectable. That's respectable. Yeah, very quotable. I didn't write any of the quotes down. Does anybody want a peanut? All that jazz. Yeah, so good. It's just so good. I tried to get this off my list and put something a little bit more, has a little bit more meat to it, but I kept coming back to it, and I just couldn't do it. Got it. I watched it when I was a teenager. My dad showed it to me. It's corny, but all in the good ways.
You saw it first as a teenager?
Yeah. Did you see it as a kid?
Dude, I was raised on this movie.
Probably 5th or 4th to 6th grade is when I first saw it.
Really? Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think it's because Live Church was so big on this movie. I was like, what is this movie about? And my dad's like, well, let's just watch it. And yeah, the fighting scenes are low key awesome. I love when he climbs up I love when he climbs up the rope. Yeah, I mean, you literally can see times where there are like cushion where you like will land.
As a kid, I never noticed it, but it's like,
it's so obvious.
It's just so obvious, but like it's just so good. Andre the Giant, whose idea was it to bring Andre the Giant on? Like,
I also want to give him. Sorry.
No, go for it.
I want to give him mad respect. He did not fluently speak English at this time, and he learned his script for it.
Holy crap! I did not know that.
Yeah, I found out he was French. I didn't know he was French.
He's French.
Andre.
Yeah.
French name. Yeah, no, that makes sense. I said it, and I was like, oh, yeah.
It makes sense.
I just assumed he was from Belgium.
Because all the beer drinking, is that?
No, because we got Belgium and France mixed up early on in the. Anyway,
Deep cut.
Deep cut. Yeah, it's corny. The love story's mad corny. I love how it starts with the little kid and the grandfather reading him
Freddie Savage?
story.
Or Frank Savage? I forget the actor's name.
I don't. Yeah,
I think it's Fred Savage. Yeah. Yes, that is the name of the kid, Fred Savage.
Nice. He's been in other stuff too.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's in Deadpool 2 apparently. Yeah. Just because they literally read in Deadpool 2, they literally read the story to him.
Mm-hmm.
He's like a kid in the. You remember that?
You
guys have seen
Deadpool 2?
It's been a long time since I saw it too.
Yeah, it's a playoff of Princess Bride. It's super funny. But yeah, super funny. Good movie. Inconceivable. just a beautiful cast. I think I picture when I watch this movie and I watch it as like an adult, I just picture like how fun it probably was to do this movie, and I think it
Dude,
really shows.
so Billy Crystal, the entire Miracle Max thing was improvised. Me and my mom were watching like a back behind the scenes documentary on it, and they like read out the script, and it was like, all right, that's fine. And then it turned into the most like expensive scene in the movie because they ended up having to kick off all non-essential personnel because Billy Crystal just riffed. Like he just started going and going and going, and people kept breaking and laughing and ruining the scene because he was so funny and iconic. Uh, and so, but yeah, apparently, like all that stuff, he was just like, I'm just going. And so, like, because it kind of has like a different tone than the rest of the movie. It's
Yeah.
because it was just him just being a genius.
So yeah, that's my 5.
I think it's like the only good 80s fantasy film that like you can go back and watch it now and it's not just nostalgia carrying it.
100%. So I'm gonna throw something out there. We'll see how it gets taken by you guys and by the commenters. But a game I really like to play is recasting The Princess Bride. And more importantly, I think you could make a pseudo sequel because I've read the book, obviously, because I'm me. Um, and the story in the book, instead of it being the grandfather reading it to the son, is the son finds or the grandfather reading it to the grandson. It's this adult finds the book and he remembers his dad reading it to him as a child, and so he gives it to his son, and his son like keeps not reading it, and finally he's like, Dad, this book is horrible. And so he like looks through the book and he learns that his dad was just like self abbreviating the book and just reading him the good parts. And so the book, The Princess Bride, is presented as this guy just giving you the good parts version of this really boring book that his dad used to read him. I think if we got adult Fred Savage,
To be the dad.
we could retell the story. Any changes would be okay because it's now Fred Savage like giving us a new script, doing his best to remember what his grandpa read him and like plucking out, different parts. So with that in mind, I think that could make for a really fun episode as our top 5 recast actors for The Princess Bride. So if you guys like that, or if the commenters want to hear it, there's an idea.
I'll leave it up to the commenters. That'll be my vote, whatever they say. Lou, before we move on, how did you just pick like feel good movies for you? What's your rating critique?
This is hard. I try to mix it up a little bit. We talked a little bit on the podcast. I try to do things that I have a feeling that you guys won't pick. My number 1 is always going to be my number 1. I think I've already shared it on the podcast. And I'll talk about more about that. But generally, kind of like Mike, I will go back to these movies over and over again. But like, I think a big thing is that it's something that I take away from it. Like if it leaves me different as a person.
Kind of like horror movies, all the way back
Kind
to
of like
number 1,
kind of like
episode 1.
Yep, kind of like horror movies. If it leaves me as a different person, then I know that. Or if I think about something in a different way because of it, I know it's my top 5.
So for how I went about this list, it's kind of similar. I mean, I think for the most part, anyone, if they make a top 5, they're gonna be movies they like. If not, then you're just being contrite and get out of here. Mine, I feel like for mine are almost, maybe except for my number 4, they're movies that definitely are like an art piece. Like there's scenes that are just like so good that you can like dissect. And I love a meaty movie. I do like, you can turn off your brain and just watch it and enjoy it. But for the most part, my top 5 are like meaty movies, and there's like things to look at and observe. My number 5 is probably the one I saw most recently, like as in seeing these movies in my lifetime. But it's such a good movie. I don't know why I didn't watch it till later. It's Good Will Hunting.
Wow.
I've never seen that.
Fantastic
Nice.
movie. So directed by Gus Van Sant. I don't no idea who that is, but I threw it on there. And starring Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, and Robin Williams. And it is such a good movie. It's like, I think Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, this was like their movie. They like wrote the script and everything, and they got Robin Williams, the joiner, the production company, and it's just such a good movie. So many quotable lines, and it's just like so emotional at times. Where like when he's sitting down, telling him like you don't know anything, like you think you know all this stuff, but really you don't. You're just a kid who reads books and everything. And it's just such a great movie. And like there's times where they'll rip out your heart, and then it's got like the heartwarming times at the end, and it's just such a great movie. I love it. Lou,
The
have you
closest
seen
I've
it?
ever. Oh,
Yeah, I've seen it a handful of times. It's up there. It's definitely top 20. The idea when Robin Williams is like dealing with his wife's death and still counseling the main character, I think it's nuts. And the time where he was talking about his wife farting in bed, it's it's so good.
you were like, I don't know why. This man sharing a personal story about his wife's flatulence really speaks to me.
Uh,
What were you gonna say, Mike?
Oh, I was just gonna say the closest I've ever come to Goodwill Hunting is the scene where Troy sees in Community where Troy sees the equation on the board, and then he just picks up the wrench right beneath the board and goes to fix the drinking fountain.
Yeah, fantastic movie. Would recommend, especially if you like Boston accents. So
I love a good Boston accent.
I mean, because Ben Affleck and Matt Damon are from Boston, and a lot of f bombs. But I mean, that's just a Bostonian accent. That's just Bostonian.
Is that the movie where he's like, "Do you have any idea how effing easy this is for me?"
I think so.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I've heard that quote a lot. I've heard
You
it
like
in some-
apples?
as a
How about
drop.
them apples?
Apples.
That's from wait, that's from Goodwill Hunting?
Yeah. Well, at least
Yeah.
that they use it in there. I don't know if it's from there, but that's where I
Okay,
learned
yeah,
it from.
that's a good point. That's a good point. Whoa, wild.
Yeah, fantastic movie. Would recommend. Mike, what's your number 4?
My number 4, and we've reached the point where I've probably discussed all of these movies at one point or another, so I'll try and keep it interesting. Why Him, starring Bryan Cranston and Dave Franco. Brief synopsis: girl brings parents from Michigan to California to meet her boyfriend. Boyfriend asks dad for permission to propose. Dad says no. Boyfriend tells dad he will change his mind by the end of the week. Shenanigans ensue.
Ends in a Kiss concert.
It does. Kiss shows up. They have a cameo. If you like the episode Dinner Party of The Office, go watch this movie as soon as you're done with this podcast. I don't care if you have to call out of work. Do it. It's so good. If you don't, it might not be for you. So that's what I'll say about that. Also, it's 100% a Christmas movie, but it's also a 100% movie you can watch any time of the year.
I've only seen it once, so I don't remember much about it except the Kiss concert and then the robot scene, which I'll leave vague because this is a family show.
Robot scene. Is that the pooping?
It's when he's
It's like
trying
a
to
pooping-
hack into the computer. And
Yes. That's what I
Cyborg,
thought you were
whatever.
talking about, but I wasn't totally positive.
No, not the bidet scene. I'm pro bidet
That-
solution. Please.
I'm also pro bidet. So I was like, what are you talking about? And why would you call a bidet a robot?
He would. Oh my gosh, I need to rewatch this movie. Out of all the movies on this list, this is the one that I'm most like, I want to rewatch this, but I don't want to watch it with my parents. I'm
fair.
like, they've told me this story. They love the movie When Harry Met Sally. I think it's overrated personally, but they were like, they had some church friends over, and they're like, you gotta watch this movie. And then they were just like, oh no, this is so uncomfortable. This is not a movie to watch with church friends. Similar thing for Why Him. Hilarious movie. Make sure you're watching it with people you're comfortable watching slightly off color film with.
What's your number 4, Lou?
My number 4. Sorry, off color is funny to me. My number 4. This is hard. I'm gonna go for my number 4 is Inglourious Bastards directed by Quentin Tarantino. So I
Stop
had to
picking
pick.
such topical things, please.
Huh? What?
What?
What did I do? What's going on?
I was making a political joke.
You're good, Lou. Carry on.
Went over my head. I like quite a bit of Quentin Tarantino's films, and I had to pick one. It was either between this one and Django. and I feel like I'm doing a disservice by doing Django, but Inglourious Basterds just really does it for me. The beginning scene I think is absolutely beautiful. I think it sets up the movie so well, and it's full of tension. It's probably one of the first movies I saw that created so much tension for me, and it was just so good.
The opening
The
scene,
main,
fantastic.
oh, so good, so good, and I'm happy that I, when I first saw it, I was like, I'm not reading subtitles. This is dumb. And then I think maybe even a year goes by, and I pick it up again, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so good. Um, I used to watch the bear juice scene before football games sometimes to get me hyped up, and it's just so good. If Do you guys know what the bear juice scene is?
I've only seen it once. It's
No.
been a while.
Okay, so with the bear juice, the main character, I don't even know I don't know who the main character is, but Brad Pitt is hunting Nazis, and that's what he does, and business is good, and he has a Nazi, and he's like trying to get the Nazi to show the coordinates to other Nazis, and the guy's like, I'm not telling you anything, I'm not telling you anything. He's like, well, I'm gonna get the bear Jew, and he's like, oh my gosh, the bear Jew, and there's this scene
I
where
thought you were just saying juice wrong.
no, bear Jew.
He's a Jewish
Okay,
man.
continue.
It's
I
a
am
Jewish.
much more. I'm even more interested than I was before. I was already
Yeah,
interested, but
yeah. So it's one of the men that he is in the that's also hunting Jews. I mean, not hunting Jews,
hunting Nazis.
hunting Nazis, and he's just this big ripped man who's a Jewish man that he literally kind of looks like a bear, and he has a baseball bat. And his thing is that he beats Nazis to death with a baseball bat, and apparently all the Nazis know this. And I used to watch. Now, I mean, 20. Now I'm thinking about it and sharing this with the world. Now, I used to watch a man beat up another man with a baseball bat before I played football.
Get hyped, you know?
But I mean, it just worked, man. It's just beautifully done. It's just so fun. So yeah, just killing Nazis. It's just fun. And then when Brad Pitt acts Italian, oh my gosh, it's funny every single time.
For like the two history buffs that listen to this podcast, it is an alternative history. So just know that going in.
Yeah, I mean, you'll know that
Pretty early on, but you know.
pretty. Yeah, yeah.
It also has Ryan from The Office in it, Mike.
Weird.
Yeah. I think that's definitely up there in Tarantino movies, in my opinion. Definitely better than Pulp Fiction.
Well, that's not hard to do.
I think it's better than Pulp Fiction as well. I agree.
All right, my number 9 came out in 1989. It is the first.
Any chance you mean your number 4?
Nope, number 9.
Okay.
Yeah, my number 4. You just gotta subtract 5. Come on, it's that easy. My number 4 came out in 1989. The 9 is where my brain got messed up. It was the first rated R movie I ever saw. It is Glory.
Ooh.
Which is a Civil War movie about the first African American regiment, the 54th Massachusetts, directed by Edward Zwick, starring a very star-studded cast: Matthew Broderick, Denzel Washington, Morgan Freeman, and Carrie Ewells, who is better known as Wesley from The Princess Bride.
Whoa. I didn't
Yep.
realize he was in that movie.
Yep, he is the second in command behind Ferris Bueller.
That's so weird.
Yep. It's just a great, fantastic movie, and especially if you are a history buff, it is one of the most historically accurate Civil War movies ever brought to the big screen and all that. And it's just so good. Like I don't really know what I can say besides go see it. I rewatched it for this list and like, do I still want this in my top 5? Fantastic. And then it's made Becker cry at the end, which isn't the hardest bar to clear, but
Shots fired.
she'll admit that. Yeah. If you like period pieces, go watch this, and war movies.
I neither of those are my biggest thing, but I saw that movie in like middle school. I think my dad was watching it. It was probably like the TV edited version, and I remember being like, "This is pretty sweet."
Mm-hmm.
So
it's not
if
that
you want the recommendation of a 7th grader, you got it.
There you go. It's not, and it's also not super bloody except for like the first like 15 minutes is like it's kind of like Saving Private Ryan, where it's up front with its blood, but it's nowhere close to Saving Private Ryan's amount of gore. You do get to see a head explode though, so
Nice.
fun times. Mike, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is feeling wrong now that we've got to it, but I just I can't pick. I can't decide on a horror movie. I feel like my number 3 spot has always been just a rotating disc of all the horror movies I love. And when I made this list, it was Aliens, which isn't even that much of a horror movie, but it just feels wrong considering how much I love horror movies not to have a horror movie on here. But with that said, I also really love Aliens. I think that Aliens and another movie that is farther up on my list are two of the greatest parent analogy movies I've ever seen. The other one being about fathers, this one being about mothers. And it's just an awesome action horror movie in general. Great tension, lots of fantastic scenes. The scene where they're standing in that small room and they have the little radar device, the sonar thing, and you're seeing the aliens get closer, and then the sonar shows that the aliens are in the room with them, but they're nowhere to be seen, is so good. And it's whenever people are like, "What's parenting like?" I'm like, you know that scene in Alien? That.
Okay,
great.
so that is Alien, not Aliens, right?
Oh, excuse me, Aliens. That scene in Aliens.
I thought it was also
that
an
is
Alien
movie.
as well. Something very similar.
I think there's something similar in Aliens, but in Aliens, you got the one where it's like, "It says they're in here with us, man!" Like, oh my gosh,
Still need to
dripping
see
with 80s, both those movies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but the whole the scene where Ripley goes down to save the girl, and you have the showdown between her and the Queen, and you know she's got that she shoots the warning shot with the flamethrower by the eggs, and it's like, look, you give me my child, I'll leave you your children. We can both go our separate ways. It's awesome. I think Ripley is the greatest on-screen mother, or at least in the conversation, and it's one of my favorite movies. So gotta go Aliens. If for no reason than to not talk Smile on the podcast again.
It burns me to think that like every time I think of Aliens, I think of Aliens 3, and it makes me so sad.
So I
Makes
should
me
skip
so
that one.
sad. There is no good qualities in Aliens 3
It's like
unless
Terminator 3.
unless you're trying to see Aliens 4, and then you need to watch some of it to make sense.
And I don't think anybody wants to watch Alien 4.
There's a little cheesiness about it that I kind of enjoy. I'm not gonna lie, but
Hottest take of the podcast so far: there are better moments in Alien 4 than Alien 3.
there are way better moments in Alien 4, than Alien 3.
We got to have Hot Kyle and Andrew on for a debate about this at some point, because it'll just start popping off.
Mm.
Do an Alien cinematic universe thing. We're gonna have a lot to catch up on.
Right? I would say, I mean, you've seen 1 and 2, right?
I've seen 1, but I mean, you guys talk about 2 enough. I think I can,
Yeah. I mean, I would watch it anyway because it's an all-time classic. In the vein of Terminator 2, where it James Cameron gets his hands on it and just kind of changes the genre to action with tension, and it's incredible. And then Alien 3, man, I'm pretty neutral on it. I don't think it's a terrible movie. I don't think it's a great movie. I'd be fascinated to hear Rob's take, and then to just get us all in a room yelling at each other. I think it'd be awesome.
I feel like yelling right now, so yeah.
Well, Lou, before we can get in a shouting match, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is going to be Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Oof, okay.
I've heard incredible things.
Oh my gosh, what's wrong, Robert?
Go ahead. Give your piece.
Do you have it as well?
No. I have thoughts on this movie though.
Okay, you recently just saw this movie, right?
Yeah. Like past month or so.
And then is it close to something close that you've written, or is that what you're thinking?
Go ahead. Say your thing.
Okay, okay. I'm sorry, Robert. So after I saw this movie, I was like, wow, this is very similar to something else that I am aware of. Um, I went into this movie absolutely completely blind. Christian got invited to go see this movie with her coworkers, and I got brought along. And part of me was just like, I don't want to go see like this sad. It sounded like a sad Asian movie, and if you know anything about Asians, Asians can be very sad. Um, Note to the what's it, Firefly, or there's a super sad anime, whatever. I Christian had to tell me to shut up because I was laughing so hard in the movie theater. It was hands down one of the funniest animes. I mean, not animes, the funniest movies I've seen in like 5 years.
Very absurdist humor.
Yeah, and apparently that's my thing. Completely roller coaster. You never know what's gonna happen. They have the Smash Bros sound in it at one point, and that's just absolutely beautiful. The guy from the Goonies, I should have looked up his name. The
Data from the Goonies. Right?
Data from the Goonies. I think that's what it is. Yeah.
Becca recognized him immediately.
He's in Love Hurts, right? That new action movie that's coming out.
Yep. He's in that Love Hurts. I saw a. If you don't know, if you're gonna do anything other than watch the movie that Mike recommended, learn about this guy's life. It is absolutely crazy how he got into Indiana Jones and then got into the Goonies. Such a beautiful story. He was in internment camps over in Asia. Just crazy. Didn't know English at all before he got into Indiana Jones. Absolutely crazy life. Super cool. But yeah, I love it right at the end they do like this family trauma healing situation that like gets you crying at the end. Yeah, it's a roller coaster of a movie. I recommend it.
Yeah, so this movie has been compared to like my book a little bit, and there's some similarities. I think there's better ones. And I've just heard how great this movie is. So Beck and I go to watch this, and it's been hyped up to high heavens. I did not expect a kung fu absurdist wacky movie that it was. I thought it was gonna be much more serious and all that, and I forced myself to finish the movie. I could not stand it. There was like my favorite scene. So slight spoilers is there's the premise is like there's other realities, things like that, and there's one with this reality where these two people are married. Most every reality, but this one they're not. And you just like, do you ever think what happened if we were like married and the woman who's traveled to reality is like, oh, we would hate each other, be in a laundry shop running down like almost broken and all that, and then the husband of the reality is like, hey, even if that happened, I would have loved to do that with you and like just be with you. And the scene is shot superbly. Other than that, though, I dislike this movie greatly. But like the bagel, what the actual literal f? Why? It's so I can't. And then they're shoving stuff up their butts and all that coming out of nowhere. And man. I think this was a thing of expectations where I thought it was gonna be something very different than it was. That it wasn't, and I am surprised that it is one of Nate's favorite movies.
Really?
Yeah, it's
I think you might be the first person I've ever heard have a bad take on the movie.
Becca just stopped watching. She just
wow.
Yeah. She checked it back in and be like, "What's happening?" I'm like, "Oh, this is happening." She's like, "Yeah." I don't know. Yeah, but like I said, it could be an expectation thing. As I went in thinking it was going to be this world-shattering thing, and it wasn't, in my opinion. So, sorry for bringing the thing down. But Lucian wanted to know. Well, he wanted to know.
It's fair. Yeah, I get it.
All right, my number 3. So Mike, are you going to watch the movie still? No.
Everything, everywhere, all at once.
Yeah.
Oh no, I was never gonna watch that movie.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
I took one look at it and I was like, yeah, a lot of people are gonna like that. I'm good.
So my top 3 really is a revolving door. It's 1A, 1B, 1C, and it just depends on what day it is, how I'm feeling. But starting off at number 3, I got Blade Runner 2049, which came out in 2017.
Surprisingly, a good movie. I wasn't expecting how good it was.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's directed by Denis Villeneuve, who also directed the Dune movies. Fantastic cinematographer and vision, and just it's absolutely a work of art. Starring Jared Goff, Harrison Ford, and Robin White, who is Buttercup from Princess Bride. And if you don't get the Jared Goff, it's Ryan Gosling, but a lot of people say they look similar, so that was the.
Well, I got Jared Goff in my number 2 movie, so haha.
Ooh, there we go. You don't need to see the first Blade Runner to understand this one. It adds some, but honestly, the first one's it's a cult classic for a reason. It's okay. This one just there's the story of it, and like the the world, and just like I said, it's beautifully shot. Just in my opinion, it's an absolute work of cinema from just cinematic perspective. I talked about Dune 2 just being blown away. I was also blown away more in this movie. Fair warning though, there is a lot of nudity. Not all of it is sexual, but it's like that's like sci-fi, cyberpunk, dystopian thing. So like they're using like sex to sell a lot of things, and like it talks about like creation of AIs and the birth naked and everything. So there is a decent amount of nudity. So if that's going to turn you off to the movie, just want to give you a heads up beforehand. But I think if it's also a very long movie, has a banger soundtrack. And I think if you want a sci-fi movie that you haven't seen, this should be one of the ones you go to as soon as possible.
I mean, it looked incredible.
Mm-hmm. I'm sad it was a flop. I don't think it was advertised well. It was a flop. So
really, I mean,
another one.
It definitely looked like something where I was like, I didn't realize you didn't have to have seen Blade Runner. But it looked really cool. It just, I don't go see a lot of movies. And so I was just kind of like, oh, maybe I'll catch that on, Blu-ray sometime.
The story felt... Oh, sorry. No, it's okay. The story felt kind of rushed in a way. And I think maybe it just felt a little disjointed in some parts. And I think maybe that had something to do with it, but I don't know.
I really enjoyed it.
Overall, it was really good.
Mm-hmm.
It was like the color scheme of live action Spider-Verse.
Yeah. Like that dark, like blue and reds and kind of purples.
Yeah.
Also, we're definitely not getting some of that technology by 2049. So, but I think the first Blade Runner was like 2000 something. So we already passed that date. Mike, what's your number 2?
My number 2, to I'm sure nobody's surprise, is Remember the Titan. How did I talk? The first time we talked about this was in our sports media podcast, way back in the day. I love this movie for a number of reasons. One, just ridiculously quotable. I'd say it's up there with Princess Bride in quotability. I could just sit around and just do Denzel quotes all day, but there's a whole lot of other people with great lines. Good story. It's a football movie that you don't need to like football to be into. Jacob does not like football, and at some point I got him to watch this movie, and he to this day is like, dude, that was a really good movie, and I don't even like football. So even if you're a football person, or not a football person rather, excuse me, great time. I also love it because my grandmother, who has since passed, introduced me to it, and so it always makes me think of her. And I was watching it one time, and I was getting a little choked up, and my daughter Jo, who is named for said grandmother, came up and was like, "Dada, it's okay," and like just gave me a hug, totally unprompted. And I just like completely fell apart. And so I just got endless amounts of emotional ties connected to this movie, on top of it just being a fantastic film. So if you haven't seen it, I highly, highly, highly recommend it.
I feel sorry for... Oh, sorry. Go for it.
No.
Oh, I feel sorry for any quarterback who has long hair, because they are definitely...
Trevor Lawrence. Yeah. One of the best Your Mama jokes
Oh my gosh, dude, it's so good. What's wrong, man? I just gave your mama a piggyback, and she's twice as heavy as I am.
It's crazy to think he was like, that actor was hooked on heroin the whole time.
Was he really?
Oh, he has he also has a. Do you know he's like super buff now?
I
Have you
know.
seen
Yeah,
him?
I know he's like jacked out of his mind now.
Yeah, he was a massive heroin addict back in the day.
Did not know
Whoa.
that.
Did
Yeah.
not know that either.
Very quotable movie too.
The running back, y'all. So good. Also, Petey from the T-Mobile commercial fame is in that. Denzel in that movie. I don't know if we talked about the cast, but yeah. Young Hayden Panettiere is in it. Will Patton, who is probably most famous for being in this movie, but every time I see him in something, I'm like, oh, hey, it's Coach Yost. Yeah, just killer movie. Oh, and, Ryan Gosling.
Who was a liability.
He was. His name was Alan. His jersey was clean a lot of the time.
All right, Lou, what is your number 2?
My number 2 is going to be yes. All right, my number 2 is going to be Inside Out. I think I've already expressed Inside Out. I think I've already talked about Inside Out in the past on the pod in the past on the pod. Whoa, that's
Anyway.
crazy. Anyway, I dedicate this movie to like this movie is the first stepping stone to me understanding that I need to go to therapy, and it is almost embarrassing that a child movie was the one that taught me that sadness it's okay to be sad. When I first saw this movie, I was like, oh, that's a cool movie, but I clearly saw sadness as the antagonist of the story, and I wanted to kill sadness. I thought that sadness had nothing good going on, and that she is the reason for all this huggabaloo. Can I still use that word?
Good word.
Okay.
Huggable. Oh, yeah.
Thank you for letting me. It's funny that you
lose canceled. That's it.
I didn't think that was gonna get me.
Can't believe you said that
How could you?
disgusting, ignorant, vile word.
Oh no! I didn't know it was a. That reminds me of like one time I was talking to a friend, super random. One time I was talking to a friend, and he was like, "Yeah, I was writing a essay. I was writing a paper about Japanese something about Japanese people, but he kept putting Japs
No.
instead of Japanese." And his professor was like, "Yo, that's wild, homie. You can't abbreviate that."
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah, I saw sadness as an antagonist. She's the problem. It's the issue. And it was only the second time where I was like literal in tears because I was like, "Oh no, it's okay to be sad," and I've avoided being sad. It's for so long that now I see sadness as like a character flaw and a weakness, and I need to change that, or I'm gonna be a weirdo and like yell at dogs. I don't know, like if I
Well,
don't
if you could
fix.
talk to him, you wouldn't have to yell.
If I had talked to them, I could just yell at them louder and they would understand me. But yeah, I think this movie doesn't get talked about enough. I think it's so hard to really express depression, especially in children, because I think when children get depressed, I think it gets kind of pushed through. I think people don't take depression in children seriously unless they're acting out in some sort of non-societal way. And Riley does like kind of run away at the end, and it comes back. Don't worry. But yeah, but I think children also get depressed, and I think the movie did a really good job with explaining that. So I think it's a gem, and I think it's helped our society. So that's my number 2.
What do you think about
That's
the
a
second
good
one?
The second one was good. I thought it was interesting that Disney was like, "Hey, this is a gay kid, but we're not going to make her gay. But she's going to really like this one other kid, but only admire her." I was like, Disney, come on, man. This kid's gay. What are we going to do here? But no, it was good. I think I liked the second one because it dealt with anxiety, but also dealt with like peers and how you interact with peers and how quickly like friendships can change, and it just kind of just is what it is. It's life, you know.
Mhm.
But have you guys seen the second one?
I have
I
not.
have not.
Oh shoot. Okay. So you have no idea what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I heard she was gay, and I was like, I'm out. That's a joke, by the way. I wasn't gonna see it either way.
I just like how gay kids and Asians. I'm out. That's not for me, man.
Well, we know one of those isn't true. So.
No, it's good.
It's Asians, by the way. I don't have a thing for gay kids.
Wow.
Star-studded
that.
cast as well.
Just wanted to be really clear, all right? You can't leave into the internet's interpretation.
You went there. It's good to hear, man. It's good that we got some truth tellers still in our society.
It has what, Leslie Knope, whatever her name
Meredith
is
from The Office.
Yep.
Other
There's
people.
Some other one. I thought there was some other big names to it, but I can't remember them off the top of my head.
Yeah, I think it's funny that like movies will hire like famous actors when like I don't care.
Bill Hader, that's what it is. That's what I was thinking of.
Ah.
And
Hater.
it had whatever her name is also from The Office, Ryan's girlfriend. On off.
Oh, I mean, oh,
I'm drawing like on her name.
Mindy Keeling?
Yeah.
Of Velma fame.
Ooh. Who hasn't seen Velma? I mean, come on. All right, my number 2 came out in 2003, directed by the one and only Peter Jackson. So you already know what movie series or what trilogy this is coming from. Because Michael said he wanted me to pick one. Well, he said this you could pick the trilogy because it's the only exception, but I doubled down, or I stood my ground, picking Return of the King as the best Lord of the Rings movie, and it is just fantastic, starring Elijah Wood, Sean Astin, Ian McKellen, Viggo Mortensen, and then the rest of the Fellowship, who you probably recognize the names of, but I'm not going to name a bunch of names here for the sake of it. It is this one you do have to watch the first two to be able to watch the third one.
I was going to say, there was some strategy to this. Oh, I'm going to pick just one of them, but it's the last one, and you have to watch the first two to see this one.
Yeah, but it's also the best one. It's I love it. A lot of people criticize how often this movie ends. I think it was around, we counted every year we did our Lord of the Rings marathon. I think it was like 8 or 9 times. There's an ending where they could have left it, and that could have been like, oh, that's a good ending. But I love it. It's so it's just like the end of that final journey. They love it. It's fantastic. Michael will tell you it's better than the books and that the books are overrated, but it's another thing.
They are.
It's beautifully shot. The CGI holds up better than the Hobbit movies, which came out a decade later. It's a very heartwarming tale. I think
that being said, they are starting to show their age on the CGI a little bit. My mom was watching them the other day. I walked by and I was like, oh, hold on. Yeah,
there's some scenes that are better than others. I think the more we keep on up-resing it, the more obvious it gets.
That actually makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm. I think this holds the record for the most times my wife has cried during a movie, and I'll let her comment if she wants to how many times she cried. But
at the end,
without
right?
a doubt,
all 9 of them.
So yeah, it's close. I don't remember if I got the double digits or not, but fantastic.
I will say, I almost have a hard time holding the bunch of endings too strongly against it, because you are trying to adapt a book.
Mm-hmm. And they cut out the whole Scourging of the Shire, so that's a whole other
plot. Yeah, it could have been
there.
even longer.
Yeah, I think you have to watch it extended edition. If you're a first-time watcher, probably not the best do it extended edition, because you'll be like...
That's actually how I watched them all. I don't know that I've ever watched them in the short form.
I did like when they first came out with short form, and then I, getting more into Tolkien, I went to the extended, and that's the only way we watch them. Fantastic. Mom, I'm sorry I tried showing you number 3 first, because, I thought it was the best. And the beginning is very disgusting with, like, Gollum transforming into what he is. and that just
Oh, no.
instantly turned my mom off Lord of the Rings. So, him biting that fish, ugh, nasty. Lou, did you ever make it to the third Lord of the Rings movie?
No, I got the first one and was like, okay. It just feels like a walking simulator to me.
Yeah, here's what you do. You get through the first one, all right? Then you
first
you read like
breakfast.
the cliff notes on the second one, and then you just play the game for the third one, man.
Well, you have to
I
watch
mean,
Helm's
yeah,
Deep. Helm's
I
Deep is a
love the
fantastic
games.
scene.
Games are good. I like the I can't remember the Ranger games. You know what I'm talking about? The newer Lord of the Rings games.
I've heard, yeah,
War
the
of the North
Shadow of
and
Mordor.
yeah,
Shadow of Mordor. I played
yep,
those. Those
that's
are
what it
good.
is.
But yeah,
War North.
I watched the first one, got COVID, so I was like, okay, now I can watch the second one. And they were just like walking, and they just like kept walking. I
Hey,
was just
journey
like,
before destination.
I was like, this is getting rough. And it's like they're not dating. What's going on?
Who's not dating? Oh shit, Frodo and Sam.
Frodo and Sam, yeah.
Yeah, it's like how are they not in a relationship? Because it feels like it.
Well, there was there was the love triangle when Smeagol shows up. It occasionally would morph into a square depending on how you see Gollum.
Then
And
yeah, and then the last scene that I remember watching is that there were the orcs and they captured two of their friends
Yeah, it's in the
Mhm.
Fellowship.
and
they took them. They took
and
the
they
little ones.
yeah. I was
They're
like,
taking the hobbits to Isengard.
this is rough.
The hobbits,
So yeah,
the hobbits, the hobbits.
next time I get COVID, I'll try it again.
Okay,
But
let's start on number 2.
this feels like a walking simulator to me.
I think
Things do start happening more in 2.
Yeah, I think 2 has probably the best battle out of all the movies with Helm's Deep.
Oh yeah.
Fantastic,
Oh yeah.
fantastic
No question.
fight.
And probably the best like one-liner in the movie.
What are you giving it?
You have to toss me.
Okay, don't tell the elf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although, is it 2 or 3 where they're counting up kills after Helm's Deep, and he twitched. He's like, because my axe is currently embedded in his nervous system.
I think that's the end of 2, but that's an extended edition version, so Lou probably wouldn't
Okay.
see that the first time.
Well, great line.
Fantastic. I also didn't realize that Gimli was the guy was not Brody, but the Egyptian guy from Indiana Jones. Just like
Whoa.
all that makeup, did not know. And
That's wild.
who doesn't love? Oh, why am I drawing blank on it? Saruman, freaking.
Oh yeah, he was in a metal band.
Yeah, he was in a metal band. So there's a scene where Sir Christopher Lee, where this person gets stabbed, and this guy was in the SAS during World War II.
I was
and
gonna tell this story.
And he went to the director. He's like, "That's not what getting stabbed sounds like," and like told him how to recreate getting stabbed. Like, oh my gosh, this guy's so metal.
Yeah, the director was like, "I need you to make this kind of noise so it sounds more like you're getting stabbed." He's like, "I've heard people get stabbed in the back. That ain't it."
So metal. And if you are a true Tolkien head, there's like a whole other 12 hours you can watch the appendix DVDs as well. But that one's
hey, they're actually pretty fun. I watched the
fun.
first set a couple times.
It's like a big making of in Lord of the Rings, but that's number 3. So I'm putting as my favorite. The Return of the King is my number 2. Fantastic movie. Mike, what is your favorite movie of all time right now?
I'd like to apologize to everyone in advance for this. It's one of my favorite lines from The Iron Giant. But again, one of the only movies that's it's in the Remember the Titans and Princess Bride tier for quotable. I think it's one of the greatest analogies for fatherhood, and also a little bit brother. It's such a great movie on the parents and the father figure level. Absolutely hilarious. Always makes me cry. I've been rewatching Ted Lasso. It's a rewatch for me, but I've been watching it with my folks, and it's their first time through. And there's a scene in Ted Lasso where they're at an away game, and so they're doing a movie night, and Ted needs to go take care of something, and he turns to his assistant coach. He's like, "You got them?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, man, I got this." And he goes, "Okay, because in about 45 minutes there's gonna be a room full of sobbing adults." And Ted goes off to do his thing, and then it cuts back later, and all the like tough footballers are just sitting there like bawling their eyes out, and it's hilarious for anyone who's seen the Iron Giant because I always shed a tear at that exact moment, and it's so good, it's so heartwarming, it's such a fun childhood story. It reminds me of being a kid, while at the same time, just like the weight of being a parent is also brought back up, and I love it. I love watching it with my daughter. It's fantastic.
I'm Rob, and I work for the government.
This is why it's so important to really chew your food.
The prayer scene, iconic.
Oh my God, we thank you.
Have you started memorizing that for a family prayer?
No, the problem is everyone in my family would know exactly what I was doing, and I'd get shot down too quickly.
If we ever like a barbecue, we'll have you bless the food.
There you go.
Oh.
I said, hit.
I feel like that's Mike trying to blend in nowadays. It's like the Steve Buscemi meme.
Hello, my fellow youths. See, the thing is, I'm not trying to blend in. I'm just good with it.
I will say your movies are a little closer, more up with the times than I anticipated. Since you're usually stuck in the '80s.
Right? No Casablanca. No Terminator 1.
Didn't put freaking what's that? Citizen Kane. Ugh, can't stand.
No.
Can't stand Citizen Kane. Lou's like, my number one is Citizen Kane. I'm like, no, I'm sorry, Lou. I don't want to just crap on your picks.
No, I did start reading somebody's favorite book and was like, ooh, this is very 80s. The Ender Game, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is, I think it was the 70s, actually. He was just way ahead of...
Oh, it feels mad 80s, but yeah. Not bad.
It's on my list. Lou, what is your favorite movie right now?
My favorite movie right now, and forever in time, will never change. It is Forrest Gump. It is what it is. I wrote down in my notes, like a lot of number ones in my life, I feel like in some sort of way, I didn't choose it. It chose me. And that's very cheesy, but I'm sticking with it.
Mm-hmm.
I also wrote, there's a lot of flaws in this movie. There's a lot of dumb acting and very confusing plots. But I love it. I cannot love it.
The heart wants what the heart wants, Lou.
The heart wants what and I own it. There's I won't share this, but I feel like I've recommended a lot of going out and listening to some sort of media, but there's an actor named Zachary Levi. He's Shazam, the main character in Shazam. He was also in this TV show called Chuck. And he explains beautifully why Forrest Gump is my favorite movie. So if you type in Zachary Levi, Forrest Gump, he'll explain to you why it's my favorite movie. But
dude, Lou just hacked the game.
Have someone else describe it for you.
Have somebody describe
all
for
my
me?
top fives from now are just gonna be me being like, look up this video. He'll do the
I'll
work
just say,
for me.
go check the Oscars for The Return of the King. That's right. Won that many.
Yeah. I mean, I've already talked about how much I love Forrest Gump. We've discussed it a lot about Jenny and all that jazz. But yeah, it just does it for me.
That's fair. Have you ever had a Bubba shrimp? I know there's one in Chicago.
No.
Okay.
No.
So on your bucket list or no?
No.
Okay.
I don't really care.
Well, it's definitely not on his top 5 bucket list. I actually know that.
For sure.
No, it seems like a scam,
Mm-hmm. Just branding it.
Do you know how when you do like two things at once, sometimes that like those two things are just like forever linked in your mind? You get those like sensory memories. I cannot hear top bucket list anymore without picturing Lou talking about the zombie anime Well, I just mine obsidian towers endlessly in the end.
Zombie,
Like those two things are just
Zombie
inextricably
anime.
linked now.
Zom 100. Did I talk about that anime?
I think so.
Mm.
It might have
Oh
even just
yes,
been. Yeah,
I know exactly
there
what
you
you're
go.
talking about. Yeah, because this whole thing is a bucket list.
Go check out our bucket list episode, and you too will
Yeah.
understand.
There you go.
I don't even remember if that one was any good, but yeah, go check it out. Why not?
They're there.
It might be good.
Might be
It's
good.
yeah, it's just waiting for you.
Let us know in the comments. Was it one of our better ones, or not so much?
Comment on this episode
Yep.
and tell us if that episode was any good.
Gotta get engagement somehow. My number one is a movie I try to watch every year, and this was just a good excuse to watch it. Directed by one of my favorite directors, Christopher Nolan. Came out in 2014. One of my favorite theater experiences ever. That
It's
is
a Wonderful Life.
It's a Wonderful Life. Also, in real terms, Interstellar. Starring Matthew McConaughey, Jessica Chastain, who you might not recognize the name, but you probably recognize her face, Anne Hathaway's, and also has a young Timothy Chalamet. Did not know that. He's the kid's son.
He's the baby. Yeah,
yeah.
he's the kid.
That I didn't know that until after watching Dune, and then I went and watched him. Like, I was that Leo meme on the couch. Just like, that's him. Fantastic movie. I just love Christopher Nolan. Like, I love how devoted he is to practical effects. For them, obviously, when you're dealing with space, you have to have some CGI. But like the whole cornfield, they bought this land in Canada and planted. I think it was like 300 or 500 acres of corn just so they could shoot these films, so it looked realistic and like it felt real and everything. And it's just it's so beautiful. It's a movie about like love and faith, and not like faith in the religious view, but like the faith of like something more and all that. And it's written by two astrophysicists, and then it was actually originally I went on a whole deep dive of this. It was supposed to be a Steven Spielberg film, but then he dropped out and Christopher Nolan picked it up. And it's another long one, but I mean most Nolan movies are. There's like some twists at the ending, and it's the more I'm like trying to become, I don't know, like emotional well, but work on my emotional awareness and health. Just the more I get close to bawling when he's watching the videos of his kids growing up. Like, so I can imagine once I have kids, that scene's gonna hit me hard, and it's just the Matthew McConaughey just kills it acting, especially in that scene. But it's such a great movie, and again, banger soundtrack, and fantastic. If you got the chance to see it in theaters, I know it was showing a 10th anniversary last year. When you watch an IMAX, like when the spaceship's taking off, when I watch it, you could like feel the seat shaking with it and everything. So I just absolutely love seeing it in cinema, in the theater, and like the huge screen and everything. And I think most of his movies are meant to be watched in IMAX. And I think that was one of the first movies that was shot mostly in IMAX. But fantastic movie, and I love it.
I haven't seen too many of your guys' favorite movies.
I think I've seen all your movies.
All
Yeah.
my movies are great.
Yeah. I honestly, Interstellar, I didn't understand the ending, and I think it's because I wasn't smart enough at the time. But why was he in the cabinet? Why was he under the bookshelf? Or on the other side of the bookshelf?
So basically, it's a whole like time loop or time dilation thing. Also, side tangent, because I just want to say how cool it was when they crash on the water planet. There's like a tick that goes about every second. There's a tick, and that represents one day they lost on Earth. And a lot of things. The main villain or enemy in this movie is time, and like not in like there's a bomb about the Gulf. It's like no, they're literally wasting time where he could be like with his kids and everything. But that one, basically, humanity at some point gets to evolves or transcends the three dimensions, is able to go at least to the fourth dimension, and they send him through this black hole, which a lot of people there's a lot of scientific theories, none of it's been proven about what goes on in a black hole, but basically they put him in a place where he can experience time as like a line, so he can go back and interact with small things, and that's like the bookshelf. So they tell him the equation for gravity that would get humanity off of Earth, to be able to like save humanity. So basically, future humans save humanity in the past type thing.
Very cool. That time when he comes back to from the water planet, and the guy that they leave behind, that was pretty emotional. Where he was just like, "I've been waiting
For
It's like,
23
oh,
years.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah. Fantastic. I love Nolan movies. Probably my favorite director. Villeneuve is getting there, though. Do you guys have favorite directors, or is it kind of just you go with whatever?
I like James Wan. I'm not like I will watch anything he does, but I've liked a lot of his stuff.
What movies does he direct?
Saw Insidious, the first Conjuring movie,
Okay, yeah.
Aquaman.
That's one of these things is not like the other.
Yeah, yeah. That was after he got big. Yeah, actually, the guy who isn't Cary Elwes from the first Saw movie was James Wan's writing partner, and so they wrote Saw together. And
what went on with Cary Elwes acting in the first Saw?
You know, it's
like
a tough one.
He's done an American accent before and been fine, but that.
Yeah, I have started to being around Kyle and the Four Horsemen and some of the stuff they've produced. I've started to understand how much of an effect directing and editing can have on the appearance of somebody's performance.
Mm-hmm.
And so I am curious how much of Cary Elwes' ridiculous performance in Saw was James Wan it was his directorial debut, and he may have just directed him poorly or edited it strangely. It could also be the I can never remember this guy's name. He was in Con Air and Face Off and The Rock and National Treasure.
Nicolas Cage?
Thank you. Nicolas Cage. I always want to call him Steve for some reason, but it's not. The Nicolas Cage in the Wicker Man thing, where it was early in, you got somebody who's out of genre and, trying to portray doing something that is, being helped along by special effects. So it's like, spoiler for Saw 1, it's like, oh yeah, I don't know what it's like to cut my leg off, and it's not like I can tap into something specific to help that. And then on top, I don't know. I think there could, or maybe he was just phoning it in and making a paycheck. Who knows?
Christopher Lee to be there.
It's not what it sounds like when a man saws his leg off.
Lou, do you have any directors that you really like?
Miyazaki, those animated films.
Studio Ghibli, right?
Studio Ghibli films, Miyazaki. He's probably pretty good. I like him a lot. I like Christopher Nolan quite a bit. I mean, when I think of course, when you think of directors, you think of Steven Spielberg.
Classic.
James
very
Cameron.
Classic.
I don't know what your thoughts on James.
I do like James Cameron.
Is he the
Terminator, Aliens, Terminator 2, Aliens,
Terminator 2 and Aliens,
Titanic,
yeah,
and Avatar, which is
Ripley Scott is pretty another good one. I think Quentin Tarantino.
Nice, yeah. Do you guys?
Who's the anime guy again? What's his name?
Miyazaki, I think.
Miyazaki. So Andrew invited me over to our friend Josh and Jody's, listeners of the pod sometimes. What's up, guys? And he was like, hey, we're going to watch a documentary on Miyazaki. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's cool. I'm not really that interested in the subject matter, but it'll be good to see people I like. And we hung out. We had dinner. We all went to the TV room. We turned it on, and the entire thing was completely in Japanese. And there were subtitles. And people were like, oh, shoot. Mike's not going to be able to read these subtitles. And so they moved a chair closer to the TV for me. I still couldn't read the subtitles. And I just sat there for that entire documentary, just kind of nodding.
he it's so funny because he's not a good person. He's really mean to his son.
Oh no.
So it's just so funny of you just him being like just just like in the whatever I'm struggling. I'm really I'm crashing.
You're good.
It'd just be funny if like there's a scene where it's just like, yeah, my son's like a garbage person and you're just like shaking your head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, quickly, let's do some rapid fire honorable mentions. I'm gonna put The Dark Knight on there. Also, a Nolan film.
Classic.
Mike, give me one.
classic.
We'll just go around in a circle.
Smile, obviously.
Lou?
I don't know. Nemo.
Nemo.
Whiplash.
Okay. Whiplash. I want to see Whiplash here. It's good. I got Fury.
This, if we're gonna talk about any of these, this is the one I'd want to talk about. Lou and I and Dan and Andrew, a bunch of people have been on the podcast. And Jacob and Andrew's brother, and Jacob. Basically, it was a podcast party. Rob was not invited. I went and saw Wolfman. Man, you'd have hated it, but I really liked Wolfman.
Me too.
You got another one, Lou?
No, I'm cashed. I'm out.
Dune Part 2. You got one, Mike?
Alien Romulus, I want to rewatch because when I watched it, it was primed to take down Aliens as my favorite alien. But I need to see it a couple more times.
Got 3 more. You got any more, Mike?
I'll just tell you a little bit about what I liked about the Wolfman every time it's my turn.
All right, Ex Machina. It's like a psychological horror, one of the few psychological, like horror, quote unquote, horror movies I like.
I loved how much Wolfman was not what I expected. I thought it was going to be like a lot of daytime and like slowly working up to the Wolfman appearing, and maybe like it seemed obvious the dad was going to get bit. I thought maybe like it'll be like this gradual thing. No, one night there's a pre-existing Wolfman outside, and you can't go outside, but inside the dad is turning into another Wolfman as we speak. Super awesome tension. Spoiler for all the movies we're discussing. Yeah, we covered it. We're good.
Shouldn't spoil one that's out in theaters right now, but anyways. I got Back to the Future, which I thought might be on Lou's list, so there's an 80s movie.
Super good movie. I loved the relationship between the dad and the daughter, and also the dad or the daughter and the mom in this movie. I thought there was so much.
I talked about Back to the Future for a second. I'm like, wait a second.
I
love the relationship between the mom and the son. You know, just...
You hang out with a guy that only wants to talk about one thing, and he just keeps coming back.
I told you this was what I was.
No, you did, and I completely forgot. No, it's good. Keep talking.
I thought there was so much amazing family story subtext in that movie, and some of the people who didn't seem to like it, I don't think they picked up on that.
Last but not least, I will mention The Departed. The Departed.
I got that movie for 50 cents at
Ooh,
Wolfman?
Steal.
No, I am actually talking about The Departed, but I haven't watched it yet.
It's hard for Becca because she has a hard time distinguishing between Matt Damon, Mark Wahlberg, and Leonardo DiCaprio, and they're all in that movie. She's like, "Who's that again?"
Funny.
I'm like, "Oh, he's the undercover guy." Which one? I'm like, that's a great movie though.
Last thing I really liked about The Wolfman, no slow burn. After about 15 minutes, the tension gets cranked up to 9, and it does not stop until the final shot of the movie.
There we go. Go
Literally.
see The Wolfman if you're into that type of stuff. Next week, we're going to be doing
furries? Sorry. I can't help myself. Is Dad getting sexier? I don't know.
You know I'm a degenerate.
Next week, great segue. We're doing a deep dive into youth groups. So we'll get some, definitely some different perspective from a pastor's kid, someone that grew up going to youth groups, not a pastor's kid, and someone that, came in pretty late for the youth group game, but it should be a fun time. What was that, Lou?
No,
you still laughing over there?
No, I came pretty late to the youth group game. You're right. It's true. I was a degenerate before that.
But he didn't know what it meant when I said it.
Christ. He was a heathen, the longest heathen.
Watch your profanity.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Watch your profanity.
Watch your profanity.
What were you going to say, Mike?
The moment's passed.
All right. Well, let us know what your guys' favorite movies are and what you think about ours. Go ahead and you can roast mine. I'd like to see you try. And you'll be wrong, but that's okay. If you're watching on YouTube, give us a like, comment, and subscribe. If you want to take over Germany and New Zealand, you guys you're international toppers. Better start hitting that share button. And maybe you guys can be the next international toppers next month. We'll see. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, give us a 5-star review. Be sure to check the comments there. I know Pokemon Trailer Cantwell, also known as the Top Topper, is just lurking and posting there. I think there's some other people going, so we'd love to see what your guys' thoughts are on there. Other than that, thank you all for listening, and hope you guys have a great week. We'll catch you next time. Peace.
My boots came in the mail today.
I want to buy new boots.
Yeah, I got them for Christmas, but they were too small, so I had to return them, and then I had to order new ones because the ones I wanted, they weren't there anymore.